welcome everyone. My name is Erin and I am the Student Recruitment Officer at the UBC Vancouver campus. I'd like to acknowledge the land that UBC has built its Vancouver campus on, which we work, learn, connect, and innovate, is the unceded, ancestral, and traditional territory of the Musqueam peoples. I have a couple of guests with me today, and I'd like to start by introducing my colleague, Kyle Watson.
Thank you, Erin. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with each of you tonight. My name is Kyle. I'm an engineering advisor from UBC's Okanagan campus. UBC's Okanagan campus is situated on the unceded, ancestral, and traditional territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of the lands that you are joining us from today. So you might be joining us here because you are interested in a future career where you'll get to design, create, innovate, or make an impacting change in our world. UBC Engineering alumni and our current students get to continue to influence positive change in our world through a wide variety of career paths. In today's presentation, we hope to give you a better understanding of how a degree with UBC Engineering can lead to an unlimited amount of career opportunities for you. UBC Engineering students start designing, innovating, and creating during their degree, and this is intentional. We think it better prepares you for success in whatever career path you end up choosing. Stick around because later on in the presentation, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from two UBC Engineering student superstars. Ruth and Benedict are here with us tonight. We're also going to have time for Q&A at the end of the session. I really hope you enjoy this presentation, everyone. So even if you know someone who works as an engineer, you might not know all of the possibilities available for someone who completes an engineering degree. At UBC, our engineering degree is called the Bachelor of Applied Science. So our UBC engineering students graduate with a Bachelor of Applied Science in their specialization, mechanical engineering, for say. In Canada, there's lots of different naming rights. There's no standard. You might see some universities that offer a Bachelor of Science in Engineering or a Bachelor in Engineering. What's important to know is that degree is accredited. This means that the program meets academic requirements. So after you graduate, you can work towards your licensures for professional engineering in Canada. You don't have to worry about that at UBC. All of our programs on both campuses are accredited, so that's not a worry for our students. Speaking of campuses, UBC is a world-renowned institution. We have two world-class campuses to choose from. One is located in Kelowna, BC, in the interior of British Columbia. The other is located in Vancouver, BC, on the West Coast. The main differences in these campuses are size and programs offered, and what we hope is you can find home on one of those campuses, whatever fits you best. UBC degrees are recognized internationally. What does that mean? Well, if you pursue an engineering career outside of Canada, it is possible you might be asked to complete a certification or requirement that's governed by that country. But what is nice to know, rest assured that your UBC engineering degree is recognized wherever it takes you worldwide. At UBC's Okanagan campus, these are the 4 specializations to choose from. This can also be referred to as a major. You can see here civil, electrical, manufacturing, and mechanical engineering. The Okanagan campus is smaller in comparison to Vancouver. One of the benefits we're able to offer is no caps on our program. So that means if your heart is set on, say, manufacturing engineering at the Okanagan campus, you will be able to declare your first choice once you have that second tier standing. On the Vancouver campus, we have 14 programs to choose from. The same 4 programs offered on the Okanagan campus, plus 10 more exciting programs. There is competitive placement for your specialization that we call the second year placement process. Regardless of the campus that you choose, all students go through what is referred to as a foundational first year. This allows you to get some insights into all the different specializations that we offer. It's also going to be making you a stronger student to be successful, not only in our degree, but beyond after your UBC engineering degree.
Awesome. So at UBC, we know that designing is a core fundamental of engineering. So even though a lot of your first year courses may involve basics like physics, math, and chemistry, you'll also get to design right at the start. You'll start your first year learning about the engineering design cycle and applying it into your courses. At the Vancouver campus, you'll start in what's called AppSci 100. And typically the first project is what is the cardboard chair. May seem like a simple task, but this 4-week group-based project will have you innovating new ways to hold a 250-pound boulder and a person. You'll then be able to present your ideas to your professors and friends. In term 2, you'll move into AppSci 101, where your first project is typically creating an automated claw that needs to pick up a variety of different objects. Again, it sounds simple, but you may need to pick up something as heavy as a can of soup or something awkward like a badminton racket. And then you may also need to pick up a specific Lego structure and set it down in a certain orientation. So there's a lot that goes into that in terms of figuring out how that all works. There's, of course, additional projects. Those aren't the only 2 projects you'll work on in first year at the Vancouver campus. That gives you a good sample of kind of what you can expect to look forward to. And it also lets you know that it gives you the flexibility to design, create, and innovate while learning about many of the different engineering specializations. So a lot of these projects really incorporate all of those specializations that we mentioned so that you actually get to work and practice some of those fields before choosing which one you're going to go into. At the Okanagan campus, students will begin in AppSci 169 to learn more about sustainable engineering design, where students get to work on a variety of projects with many real-world implications. And then in term 2, Okanagan students will move into AppSci 171, which focuses on engineering drawing and a CAD design project featuring the iconic end of term design competition. The top 30 design teams go head-to-head in front of a panel of judges, including industry partners and faculty. And one of the recent winning teams went on to be published in Maclean's magazine for their safer design of clothing donation bins, now found across Canada. There are also lots of other ways for students at both campuses to gain extra design experience and hands-on engineering skill sets. At the Vancouver campus, we have over 30 design teams open to students in all engineering programs, as well as some engineering-specific clubs. And at the Okanagan campus, there are also so many opportunities to expand your network. So, joining us today, I'd now like to welcome Ruth, who's a current student at the Vancouver campus, and they're part of the Engineers Without Borders team. So I'm going to bring Ruth on, and she is going to share more about her team and some of her student experience.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. So, as Erin mentioned, my name is Ruth. I am a second-year biomedical engineering student at the Vancouver campus, and my interests include tissue engineering and regenerative medicine through bioprinting technologies. So, Engineers Without Borders is an international development organization who focuses on addressing the root causes of social injustice. So, our organization aims to catalyze change that address the foundational causes of poverty and inequity by investing in people and ideas that will contribute to the building of an equitable and sustainable world. So UBC EWB, so UBC Engineers Without Borders, is a university chapter under the international organization. And our goals are to invest in our community members to develop their professional and leadership skills, as well as to foster a new generation of critical thinkers through engineering and design. And we primarily achieve this through 3 ventures, and they are Youth Venture, NGU Wellness, and Smoke-Free Homes. So I'm personally part of the Youth Venture, which I'll talk specifically a little bit more. So our first venture is called Smoke-Free Homes, and it is a student design team that focuses on designing a safer alternative stove to cook on open fire pits in rural communities of Guatemala. So currently, our team is working in lab to prototype and test their eco stoves, and they're also planning their trip to Guatemala in the coming month in order to engage with their stakeholders and to assess the feasibility of their design for the implementation into community. And our second venture is called NGU Wellness, and this venture strives to promote health and wellness within our UBC Vancouver campus. So engineering overall is quite an intense program academically, and we had to take many courses in the academic years. So this is why mental health and wellness is especially important for engineering. So NGU fosters this by hosting wellness workshops, fun events, and providing stress relief packages throughout the exam seasons. As I mentioned, I'm one of the co-lead for Youth Venture in UBC's Engineering Without Borders chapter, and our venture aims to build connections with youth in the Lower Mainland by hosting events for elementary and high school students to introduce them to the field of engineering and encourages critical thinking about current world issues. So we also, one of our main goals also supporting high school students with their transition to post-secondary education in the engineering program. So one of our biggest events this year was the engineering design case competition targeted at high schoolers. This year, our topic was pediatric assistive technology for children with neuromuscular disorders. We guided our 60 or so participants through the stages of engineering design cycle, and the students had the opportunity to prototype their most promising design and present to everyone in the competition. So for my venture, Youth Venture, it's about uplifting people and recognizing the potential each individual has, but it's also about sharing of knowledge and communicating the principles of engineering to the broader audience. And for me personally, this communicative aspect has really allowed me to apply myself in my design courses, first year and second year, where we had to work as a team and come up with a more comprehensive proposal for designs and actually start prototyping those. And being part of the Engineering Without Borders chapter has also allowed me to collaborate with people from different programs. So our team at Vancouver is composed of students from all of our 14 engineering programs. And some of the most include electrical, mechanical, geological, etc. And I enjoy it specifically, each member offers a different perspective due to their unique expertise. And I often consult with my seniors in the chapter about certain decisions in my engineering, in my undergraduate journey, such as co-op placements, resumes, how to study for courses. So this has really helped me feel being part of a community where everyone can help each other. So my advice to students potentially considering a future in engineering in post-secondary is to start doing things. So start a project, design, and innovate something. It really doesn't have to be something grand, but just start getting your hands dirty and you'll find that you'll learn a lot of things along the way. And that is all. And you're welcome to ask me more about questions in the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Ruth. That was incredible. We are going to have room for questions at the end. And yes, Ruth will be available to answer any questions that you have. Wow, truly inspirational. You say, get busy, get your hands dirty. You are very busy. And I'm wondering if we can connect later on so I can get some tips on more efficient time management. That's quite inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing, Ruth. You know, UBC engineering degree, yes, it can take you anywhere, but engineers, they're so creative. And because engineering is such a broad field and you have so many options to choose from, you get to also utilize your creativity. So here's Tiffany. During her third year at UBC, she created rain art installations in conjunction with the UBC Seeds sustainability program on campus. Take a look at this photo, everyone. The art only appears visible when the concrete is wet. How cool is that? Like, so using creativity and the power of engineering, she's been able to put this awesome art installation on campus. Engineers are constantly improving our surroundings, whether that is making them safer through earthquake research, designing medical equipment, or like we see on the screen here, beautifying our spaces. That's so cool. We're going to take a look at some more engineering stories here just to give you some insight. So let's meet another outstanding student, Coralie. She has been co-captain of UBC's biomedical engineering student team, where they created a physical simulation of a whale's heart. Yes, I said that, a whale's heart. She's also part of UBC Open Robotics, where she worked to create algorithms to control the arm of an autonomous robot. She's passionate about working towards equity and diversity in any capacity, and through clubs has been able to help and amplify the voices of marginalized communities at UBC. She's a member of UBC's Black Student Union, has been a co-chair for the EUS Equity, Diversity, Inclusivity, and Indigeneity Committee, and a mentor for the Biomedical Engineering Mentorship Program. In 2002, her efforts were recognized for the Cairns Bridge Fellowship. This award is dedicated to building the business leaders and entrepreneurs of the next generation. Each year, the fellowship sponsors 15 to 20 students or so, top students across Canada. So Coralie was certainly deserving of this recognition from there. Our UBC engineering students, they're truly incredible. Ruth mentioned before, our degree is quite rigorous, but somehow our students find time to join clubs, join initiatives, invent new ideas. Like it's so amazing what engineering students are able to do, and I'm so excited for the goals and passions that lie ahead for you as prospective students. In addition to all of the opportunities available to you as a student, engineering truly sets you up for success in a career. So let's take a closer look at what that means. Engineering, it provides a solid education in problem solving, analysis, and application of knowledge. So no matter what you want to do in the future, you have a reliable foundation to continue in engineering or truly any field you're interested in. Those are solid skills to be setting you up for success moving forward. We also foster lifelong learning. It's one of our attributes for graduates. All engineering students, they do gain. We do have a fellow alumnus here tonight. Engineers are improving the world around us, and to do so, they need to keep contributing to their knowledge and applying that knowledge to solve new problems. With this solid foundation we're referencing here, engineering can also open up doors to, of course, graduate studies. If you want to pursue law or medicine or whatever you're interested in, engineering is a great foundation for you moving forward. Our students, our alumni, our professors are continuing to showcase the impact they can make on the world through their research and actions. For example, UBC Engineering is providing solutions of clean water to Indigenous populations in Canada that have been under boil water advisories for an entire generation. UBC Engineering is also reducing food insecurity. We're making an impact on pollution and air quality, preventing and treating concussions. We're creating new medical devices and so much more. UBC has some incredible information, not now, future homework for later. When you're on your free time, Google UBC Engineering Research to discover all the exciting research that's happening on both of UBC's campuses. Engineering is also a very well paying job. Let's face it, if you're pursuing a career, you have to be paying attention to the salaries that are available because life is there and you're going to have to pay bills someday if you aren't already doing so. We took a look at a recent study by Statistics Canada published in 2020. It shows that most top earning graduates from engineering degree disciplines are right there on the top earning potentials when comparing bachelor degrees. When we adjust for age and institution and graduation year, the median earnings for engineering degrees in the top 30 list were somewhere between $70,000 and $120,000 a year for both men and women. UBC Engineering, we are working to reach gender parity in engineering. And the only way we are able to do so is through our recruitment initiatives and through our outreach efforts. We are hoping to expose more girls, young women, and underrepresented populations in the field of engineering. Some of our outreach initiatives include Gearing Up, our engineering stories team, a lot of our recruitment initiatives. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us to connect and find ways that you can learn more about UBC Engineering. Increasing underrepresented populations in engineering make our teams more diverse, and more diverse teams mean our students are better able to solve problems for the entire population, not just a fraction of it.
Awesome. So what happens after you graduate from engineering? Well, I think that's really the exciting part because you get to choose. Engineering provides a solid education in problem solving, analysis, and application of knowledge. So no matter what you want to do in the future, you have a great foundation to continue in engineering or whatever else you want. Of course, the majority of our students will go on to work in their engineering field, but they might also go on to law school or medical school, as Kyle mentioned. Maybe they'll work in business, in the government, or even go into space. We have a few highlights from some of our grads with amazing careers that are using their degree to do more than just engineering work. So for those of you in the Vancouver area, you may have heard of Bowen Ma, who graduated from civil engineering in 2008. She worked on major construction projects, including at the Vancouver International Airport. And she has also gone on to being a politician and currently serves as the MLA for North Vancouver Lonsdale, as well as the Minister of State for Infrastructure in British Columbia. So she's able to use everything that she gained from her engineering degree and really apply it to help people in BC, in Vancouver, North Vancouver, I should say specifically. Another example is Jessica, who graduated from mechanical engineering in 2017. So after graduation, Jessica decided to continue to further her education by completing a master's and PhD at MIT, where she is developing a conversational agent to lower the barrier to entry to programming. So Jessica hopes that her research inspires others to use technology to solve the problems they care about. Being able to program has given Jessica a great advantage in technology-filled world, and she hopes to empower others in the same way. Zach was able to utilize his degree in mechanical engineering, which he graduated from in 2017, to design and create comfortable yet supportive athletic wear for athletes with knee injuries. At UBC Engineering, he learned how to apply his technical skills to solve real-world problems and is now the founder of the only company that manufactures this kind of apparel, providing medical-grade support. So you don't need a bulky knee brace. You can wear a pair of leggings that has all of this stuff built into it. So it's a really cool company to have a look at, especially if you have a knee injury, I guess. As an engineering physics student, Yu King found her niche in robotics after co-op terms at Tesla and Google. She sharpened her designing and creative skills as a part of the UBC formula team, and she's also currently completing her PhD focused on the robotics human interface at UC Berkeley. So these are just a few examples of some of our past alumni who are doing amazing things and getting to, again, design, create, and innovate every single day. But lucky for you, we have a real life alum with us as well. So I'll introduce Benedict to share more about his story.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is Benedict, but I also go by Ven. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I graduated from the Bachelor of Applied Science, specializing in mechanical engineering at UBC's Okanagan campus back in May 2021. Personally, some things that I'm really interested in are things like music. So shout out to all my saxophone players out there, travel, as well as just exploring and adventuring out there in general. But in a professional sense, I'm currently in engineering training and an industrial project coordinator with PCL Construction's Heavy Industrial Division. So in my role, I work a lot with our trades workers, our vendors, different subcontractors, and our management teams to lead a specific discipline of work on one of our job sites across Canada. So for example, for me, while I call Edmonton, Alberta home, I'm actually based right now at the Cascade Power Project, which is located about 2 hours west of Edmonton in a town called Edson, where I manage over $212 million of structural steel for a up-and-coming 900 megawatt natural gas combined cycle facility. Now, back when I was in school, I kind of made my way all around the block, to say the least. Aside from my degree level studies, I got really involved on campus. I made time for different clubs and even into student governance. So much so that in 2019, I ended up becoming the 12th president for the Engineering Society at UBC Okanagan. And in 2020, I was elected to become the Vice President Services for the Canadian Federation of Engineering Students. Now, aside from governance, though, I also had a passion for helping kids find their passion in science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, if you might have heard of that, through our UBC Gearing Up Engineering Outreach Program. And while both of these circumstances aren't exactly your conventional engineering stereotypes, I think they're actually some of the biggest reasons for why I was set up for success in my role today. The technical engineering knowledge that I gained is so important to my role. And taking a design-based approach from UBC allowed me to really understand why and how a design worked, more than just a conceptual idea. I mean, we all know that some ideas are really good in theory, but can have some pretty serious problems in execution. And honestly, now more than ever in my job, I put that mentality to really good use. In my job, it's my responsibility to use my engineering knowledge to influence the decisions I make as a project coordinator, and use those mentorship skills that I got from outreach and couple them with my ability to lead and communicate from my time in student leadership to effectively manage my scope of responsibility. The world of construction engineering is all about practicality. It's about understanding what the most efficient way of executing an engineering design is. My job is to act as the bridge, a person who understands technical knowledge to find a possible solution, and is the person who has the management ability to know what resources I need to mobilize in order to make those ideas become a reality. Now, to be honest, I could only pursue a role like this because UBC was the catalyst for me to know who I was supposed to be. I remember being so scared on my first day of university, being so far from home, and how at home I felt when I had a sea of senior engineering students dressed pretty similar to that picture on the left, cheering me on and welcoming me to the campus community. Honestly, it was that community that encouraged me to come out of my shell and discover who I am now. I actually chose UBC Okanagan Engineering because of the approach, a design-based curriculum with a community-oriented mentality. Funny, I actually knew I wanted to be a mechanical engineer when I went into school, but that was because I loved all things planes, trains, motorsports, and everything in between. I considered myself a people mover, and I appreciated that at my campus, I could choose my discipline, no questions asked, and still have a more broad approach to my studies, since both my first and most of my second year were spent understanding a ton of engineering core. Now imagine my surprise, though, when I realized that my passion was actually for engineering management and helping others in a very different way. So if I look at myself in your shoes when I was back in high school, and if I were to ask myself what I wish I knew before I became an engineer, it's this. I think it's so critical for you to ask yourself what gives you purpose. And I know that it sounds like a really open-ended philosophical question, but I mean it. You definitely don't need to have an idea of what discipline you want to pursue, or let alone what you want to be doing after university. Trust me, there is plenty of time to think about that. But I would ask of you to think about your skills and how you can best use them to serve a greater purpose beyond yourself. A lot of people think that engineering is for the technical oriented, the people who are good at math and science. And yes, that is somewhat true. But to be a great engineer, it's to know that engineering is so much more than Newton's constant or the 3 laws of motion. It's about creativity. It's about having a passion for helping people in a very real way. It's about having a desire to want to make our world better. And trust me, I know firsthand where engineering workforce is now and how our generation can actually influence and spark change. That spark of creativity that you learn about could be the thing that leads you to create a startup or influence new ideas at new Fortune 500 companies, or even find ways to save your company millions of dollars in time and money. Honestly, one of my favorite things about being an engineer is being able to look outside of my office window and know that one day in the really near future, the work I'm doing is actually going to bring millions of homes energy across Alberta, and that I'm actually helping to change people's lives in a very real way. Engineering needs really bright minds who care about social issues, global dilemmas, innovations, big or small. And the fact that you're here virtually proves that that creativity is something already on your mind. So if you're considering a future in engineering, the advice I have is to ask yourself, what kind of impact do you see yourself making? because the skills that you hone in on will be the ones that lead you down the path within the world of engineering that you were meant to be on. And that's who I am.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's, yeah, better than anything I could say. And this is what I do for my job. So thank you so much for sharing so much about your experience. I don't see any messages for you just yet in the chat, but I do see there's a few direct messages coming in to me. Feel free to put any questions you have for Ruth or Ben into the chat, or any general questions about UBC engineering. We'll be happy to get to those in just a minute or so. So I do want to mention a couple of resources where you can kind of find some other things to look at after today. So if you are interested in sort of what engineers do, what you can do with an engineering degree, like shown here, we have our Engineering Stories channel that has students that share more about their own experience. They do interviews with co-op students, they do interviews with alumni. They have so many things going on, and we have channels on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So however you love to consume your media, hopefully one of those will work for you. And you can check out our Engineering Stories channel to learn more about what opportunities are out there for you, either while a student or afterwards. They also made a very specific series called Behind the Career. This was created a couple years ago. But it is talking to recent alumni to learn all about what they're working on. It covers all of the fields of study available in engineering at UBC. So you can find people who are currently working in industry in all of the different areas of engineering. So again, that's on our Engineering Stories YouTube channel. I do highly recommend you check that out, especially if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about some of our programs of what is mechanical engineering, what does a manufacturing engineer do? This is a great resource to get started. Now, no matter what field of engineering you might be considering to pursue, engineers work to make our world better. So if you like working on a team, solving problems, and improving our world by saving lives, improving health, or increasing sustainability, then engineering might be a great degree to launch the career of your dreams. So thank you so much for joining. Again, I have those Engineering Stories links up again for you to check out. I also have Kyle's email and my own email. So if you have questions about the Okanagan campus, please reach out to Kyle. And if you have questions about the Vancouver campus, please feel free to reach out to me at my email. I do have some questions coming in the chat. So Ruth and Ben, if you're cool to stay around for a few more minutes, I can get you to help answer some of these questions. I did get a few direct messages. So one was about how much opportunity is there for engineers to do study abroad programs? So this is something we didn't talk about specifically in this presentation. We have talked about it in our other presentations. You can always also check out our YouTube channel if you want to learn more. AppSite has what's called, or the Faculty of Applied Science has what's called the Coordinated International Exchange Program that allows you to actually spend a term studying at other top engineering institutions from around the world. So we have a great program set up that you can do that. You can also work internationally through our co-op program. You can do research internationally potentially as well. So there's really lots of opportunities available to you. And we didn't even get a chance to touch on all of those opportunities available to our students today. You heard a little bit about it from Ruth and Ben, but definitely check out some of our other presentations if that's something that you're interested in. So there is a question. I don't know that I have an answer for this. Kyle, I don't know if you have any inputs, but will learning engineering help with having a job in quantum physics?
I can probably jump in. So
yeah,
I
do you
mean,
want to jump in?
I can't say a yes or no, but I would say like very likely because I know like in Vancouver campus, there's a program called the Engineering Physics program, and they work with a variety. So these students work with a variety of fields, but a lot of them do go and work specifically in quantum research. And like I was just going through my co-op job board the other day, and I saw there was a lot of jobs like specifically like from like co-op jobs for students also. That was from like the Stuart Booson Quantum Matter Institute, which is based in UBC campus, and they are one of the leading researchers in quantum mechanics as well. So yeah, I would say very likely.
Yes, that's a good point. And I do know that some of our students in engineering physics will do capstone projects related to Triumph, which is Canada's particle accelerator. So that's an option. I don't know the specific requirements of to work as a quantum physicist, what that would be. That's definitely something that Google might be able to help you out with. But as we mentioned today, engineering really provides a solid foundation. So if that is something that you're interested in, engineering could be a great start for that because it really provides the foundation for learning more about physics in general, about applying all of that knowledge that we learn from science and solving problems. So definitely could be an option if that's something that you're interested in going into.
Using your UBC engineering degree when applying for jobs or pursuing a career of interest, then how did you navigate that process, transitioning from being a student to transitioning to industry?
Oh goodness, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was very tough. It's a very it was a very competitive field at the time, specifically for me, because I did graduate as the pandemic was starting to wind down. And so a lot of people who unfortunately were displaced from their jobs were people that I also had to unfortunately compete against for tons of these jobs. And I think one of the things that really set me up for success there was the experiences that I did have under my belt. I mean, no matter where you go in Canada, an engineering degree is an engineering degree because of the fact that it is accredited, which means no matter where you go in Canada, you are going to have an international degree. But what sets UBC apart and what set my experience apart was the things I was able to do outside of the classroom. Things like engineering outreach, things like the design projects that I did in the courses, things like my engineering student leadership, all things that got asked during my interviews and what I think led me to success. So I think those are the things that I would say that I focused on when I was looking at moving from student to industry. It was those unique experiences that I was able to use to sell for myself.
Thank you so much, Ben. We have another question in the chat here. How does the co-op program work for engineering at UBC? And is it difficult to get into that program? That's a great question. Co-op, for the most part, students will apply before their second year, sometimes later. It is competitive, where we are going to look at your previous UBC studies average and possibly also some real world experience. We want to see that you can couple those good grades with somewhat of an employment experience. This could be a part-time job, this could be volunteering. It doesn't have to be that elite professional summer internship. We just want that parity of success in the classroom as well as some real world experience. And then when you are in the co-op program, there are some preparation that take place through the co-op group, but essentially there are some different ways to choose your own adventure to complete your work terms. It could be you're doing it in summertime. It could be you're taking a single winter term off, or maybe a full winter year off. We have a full team of engineering co-op advisors that assist you with this decision making to work it in. If you're completing the full co-op distinction to earn that credential on your transcript, it's likely going to add an extra year onto your studies. But as Ven previously mentioned, it's going to be pretty awesome for you to successfully graduate with a UBC engineering degree, an accredited degree from one of the top programs in the country. But it's quite competitive. There may be other UBC engineering students also applying, or top students from other programs. So it's your ability to couple that degree with some experience, be it from co-op or beyond, to get your foot in the door and nail it in that interview as you compete for that position. But co-op is a really popular route. I would say it varies per campus and it varies per year, but somewhere between 30 to 50% of our students typically will pursue co-op during their degree.
If
Great
I could add
question,
one
Chris.
thing to that, if that's okay. I actually will also say you don't necessarily have to be in the co-op program to work while you're in university. While I was in university, I was not a co-op student, but I did work for things like student recruitment, or I worked for the UBC Engineering Outreach Program, which was a paid summer position. There are tons of different opportunities out there. Now, obviously, co-op is the best way to get a formal, I guess, transcript notation on it, and also receive credit for the amount of time that you spent in the co-op program, but there are tons of different ways to be able to build your practical knowledge, I would say.
Thank you for sharing, Ben. Yeah, there are definitely ways to offset the cost, be it with a work study position like Ben has held, or maybe you're getting a paid position for research, or maybe you're applying for student loans or financial support, or there's a lot of different funding sources that are available. And you can check that out on our you.ubc.ca website for more information on that. But lots of opportunities to gain professional experience, be it in industry or beyond, while you're a student or in the off season in the summertime during your degree. I see another good question here. Lots of admissions questions on here. Please check out our previous recordings for more information on that, or go to our you.ubc.ca website. Admissions questions are often specific to the person asking those. Feel free to send a message to Aaron or myself as well by email, and we'd be happy to stay connected moving forward. We've got a good question in here. What extracurricular activities or resources can I access as a middle school student that will prepare me for biomedical engineering at UBC? This is a great one. You may want to get involved if you're in a UBC campus area, maybe in the BC area. Maybe you join a Gearing Up program to get involved early. I'm going to kick it over to Ruth, though, maybe for some recommendations for that.
Yeah, I mean, props to you for already thinking about, what you want to do for post-secondary. I certainly wasn't that, I didn't have a great idea going into it. I just knew that I wanted to do something with biology. Didn't even know that engineering would be something that I'm sticking with now. So I would say that go take a look. So I'm not sure if you're based in BC, but if you are, for sure take a look at the summer research program that the BC Children's Hospital always hosts. They allow high schoolers, it is a competitive program, but they allow high schoolers to work with researchers in the BC Research Institute, BC Hospital Institute of Research. And it is an excellent opportunity for you to get hands-on experience. And honestly, I will also just say, if you really want to go to UBC, you can do some research on biomedical engineering professors. I know that a lot of our professors are very open to outreach opportunities, especially if you're a high schooler was already thinking about, contributing to this field. So yeah, those are kind of two things you can think about.
Thank you so much, Ruth. That is super helpful. Really great questions coming through here. Is it desirable for an applicant to have a clear idea about which branch of engineering she or he would like to opt for? Does that clarity help in admissions, or does it matter at all at that stage? That is a great question. So at UBC, our application offers two choices. You can choose two different programs. You would list your first choice as number one, choice two as number two, and you're applying for the degree. So if you're interested in engineering, you're applying for the Bachelor of Applied Science. You don't yet have to know which specialization or major or branch you want to pursue yet. That is not factored into admissions and will not help or hinder you whether you know that or not. What will likely happen, depending on your entry, if you're direct from high school, after your first year of studies, you're going to go through what's called the second year placement process. That's where you get to apply or declare your specialization. So first year of UBC engineering is all about getting your feet wet in our program, going through that foundational program, preparing you for any branch of engineering. After your first year is when you would want to have an idea. In some cases, students even pivot a little bit later on, but you definitely do not have to know when you're applying. When you apply to UBC, there's two main things that admissions is going to be looking at: your previous studies, transcripts, and your personal profile, which is a chance for you to tell your own story and tell a little bit more than just your grades. We do have alternate pathways to UBC as well. Transfer pathways or engineering transfer programs that could have a little bit of a different criteria for applications, but no, you don't need to know your specialization right off the bat.
Ruth, maybe do you want to share more about what some of the kind of events or things that you would have attended in first year that helped you choose what program you went into?
So I mean, for me at least, the AppSci 100 course is very helpful in helping students to kind of get an idea of what program they want, as they give you a presentation of all 14 programs throughout like the first semester. And yeah, so that was a really good base for me to start thinking. And also just talking to older students, like if you're involved in some extracurriculars at UBC, you would already have people who specialize in a program. So getting that different perspective is really, really helpful for you to make that decision. And also, I mean, like personally, I kind of already have an idea because I was in a pre-biomedical engineering program, which is like the specialized first year course, like for pre-BMEC students who was already thinking about that. So I think that also kind of helped me with the decision making, at least for me.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, so there's usually lots of events that happen in first year. Yeah, as you mentioned, the programs will present and things like that. Ben, is there anything, I know you said you were kind of set on mechanical engineering. Was there anything that stood out to you that you remember of like solidifying your choice, of anything that you did that you remember of, I remember doing this one thing and I wanted it?
Yes, definitely. And actually, just to touch on that too, even within mechanical engineering is very broad. There's a lot of different things you can study. And like I said, I initially went in wanting aerospace, and then eventually pivoted to thinking maybe I want biomed, and then found my way into construction. So what kind of really solidified it that I wanted mechanical engineering was through the industry nights that our campus held. There was a lot of opportunities to connect with a lot of people who were in industry, specifically in first year. I know that they've built different discipline nights for you to get an opportunity to meet people in the different disciplines, get to know them. And that was also one of the beautiful things about being in engineering 1 and then in the second year, where in the first semester, you're kind of in a little bit more of a general circumstance. You kind of had more of an opportunity to realize what skills in engineering you were really good at and what things you really wanted to pursue more. For me, that was a lot of those things in mechanics and dynamics, things like that. And so that's what really convinced me to pursue a path into mechanical engineering. But further than that, in my third and fourth year, when I started taking those more specialized courses, that's when I really realized what I was most interested in past graduation. For example, I ended up taking in my fourth year, biomedical engineering 1, introduction to aircraft and aerodynamic design, and construction engineering and management. All three were fields of interest of mine. And I thought I was going to go into aerospace. And while I did enjoy the course content, I ended up really not liking the design calculations I was doing in aerospace. So I pivoted and realized I had interests in other courses too. So I think a lot of it is just about having that open mind and then taking the courses that you think are you're going to be most interested in, and then pursuing those as you go through your degree.
Really great questions this evening. So thank you all so much. I think that brings us to an end. So again, if you do have any questions that you had that you still have after today, you're welcome to send myself or Kyle an email so that we can get in touch with you. I want to say a huge thank you to Ruth and Ben for joining us today. You provide so much additional insight into what's available to our students while they're in school, once they graduate, amazing things to look forward to, things to think about. So hopefully all of you that joined us here today got to learn a little bit more about engineering and some of the doors it can open for you in the future. We do have more prospective student events coming up throughout the spring. So March 1st, we have an event called Changing the World, Engineering the Future. And that is specifically for women or gender nonconforming students to learn a little bit more about engineering, do a design challenge in a really safe environment. So if you are a woman or non-binary, you are welcome to join us for that event on March 1st if you're in grades 10 to 12. Otherwise, we have an additional presentation coming up later in May. So if you want to learn more about the specific admissions criteria and that process, we'll be going through that in more depth in May. So check out that upcoming event. I will add a link of those specific events in the chat for you real quick. And keep an eye on our events website because we always post more events coming up and things like that. So you guys all had some great questions today. Thank you so much. Thank you to Kyle for presenting with me. And again, a huge thank you to Ruth and Ben for spending your Wednesday evening with us, sharing more about your experiences. And we really appreciate you being a part of the event today. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening. And we're so glad that you were able to join us today.